Hey everybody, it's Becky. Welcome back to my channel. I am sitting down here in a more comfortable location because today's video, and I warn you ahead of time, is not going to be short. I've seen this video going around YouTube, and maybe it's been around for a while and I just discovered it, but it's like 20 things I learned in my 20s or 30 things I learned in my 30s. Well, I was telling my girls the other day that this is my last year to be in my 30s. I will be 39 in June, and I was just thinking, you know, how much stuff I have learned in those 39 years, a lot of things the hard way. I thought it'd be really fun to have a really low-key sit down and talk to you guys about 30 things that I have learned in the past 30 years that I thought might be helpful. So if you're somebody who's younger, maybe some of these things can help you from avoiding some of the same mistakes that I made. And even if you're my age or older or around my age, I think some of these things too are things that a lot of women and moms kind of find themselves doing, and they don't really realize they're doing it. So I thought they would be helpful. It's just a fun way to kind of get to know me and understand a little bit more about things that I have learned over the last 39 years. And then I have a couple bonus ones at the end. So grab a snack, get a cup of coffee or whatever it is you like to snack on or drink on. Then we can sit down and talk about the 30 things that I have learned in the last 38 years. So I've got my notes here. How many pages is it? 1, 2, 3, 4 pages of things that I have learned. The first thing that I have learned in my almost 39 years of life is don't put things in your house in a certain place just because your mom did. My mom always kept pasta and crackers above the stove, so I always kept pasta and crackers above the stove. And it wasn't until like a month or two ago that I realized that is not working for me in my kitchen, in my setup with the way I organize things. But I always put them there because she always put them there, and I guarantee you her mom probably put them there, and that's why she did it. There was a story I read once, and I forgot where I saw it, but it was talking about this lady who would get a roast, and she would always cut the end off of the roast before she put it in the oven. And finally somebody said, "Why did you cut the end off that roast? That was like the perfectly good piece of roast." And she said, "Well, I don't know. My mom always cut the end off of her roast, so I cut the end off of my roast." Come to find out, her mom cut the end off of the roast because her roasting pan wasn't big enough for the typical size roast that they got, so she would cut off the end. The lady didn't pay attention to that. She just knew that her mom cut the end off the roast, so she should cut the end off the roast. So I encourage you to go around your house, look at the way you have things organized and where you have things in your home. Do you have certain things, like do you always keep batteries in this certain drawer even though maybe it doesn't work out for you? Maybe you don't know why you put them in that drawer. Maybe your mom does that. Do you put your utensils in this certain drawer that may not be next to your stove, but you did it because your mom always put her utensils in the drawer by the table? You know, whatever the situation is, kind of examine yourself and ask yourself, why is this here? Does this work well for me? Is this something that I've done because my mom did it or my grandmother did it or whatever? Is this going to work the best for me and my lifestyle, the way I like to organize, the way we like to use things, or am I just doing it because it's kind of all I know? Let me know in the comments what you have found yourself doing, because that, like I said, the pasta and the crackers above the stove is definitely the thing that I found most recently that I did because my mom did. The next thing I have learned is don't lose yourself as a person just because you have become a mom. You still need to have hobbies and goals and things that you enjoy doing. Even though you're a mom, it doesn't have to take away from your family, and it can really add to it. When you are more fulfilled and you're happier, it makes you a better mom in the in the end. So I did that for the first, 10 years. I didn't really have any hobbies. I didn't have anything in particular that I like to do. I just kind of puttered through life and took care of the everyday things that had to be done. I didn't challenge myself with anything. I wasn't working out and trying to keep myself healthy. I wasn't doing anything creatively. Like for me, I like to do creative things. So on my YouTube channel, I didn't have that. I didn't spend any time doing anything that I actually enjoyed other than being with my family. Obviously, I enjoyed and I love doing that, and that's top priority. But you know what I mean? Things that are just for you, that you enjoy doing, that make you feel fulfilled and happier and challenged and motivated in all areas of your life. Don't give those things up just because you're a mom. It's okay to still be you and have interests that you like that may or may not have anything to do with your family, and that's okay. The third thing that I have learned, I knew it anyway as a kid, but I have learned it and I have really, really come to understand and appreciate even more the fact that my parents sacrificed and did so much for me and my brother growing up, and they still do. They still do tons of stuff for me now, even as an adult. But I think when you grow up and you become a parent, especially yourself, I think you realize how much your parents did for you when you were a kid that you didn't really realize or understand at the time or appreciate. Even if you appreciated it, you didn't understand the sacrifice that they may have had to make to do those things for you or to provide those things for you. And for me, I don't know. I think about the things that I did growing up and the childhood that I got to have and the lifestyle that I got to have and all of that stuff. And I think my parents were the ones that gave that to me. And I really, really appreciate them for that. And the fact that they're still doing it as old as I am now. My brother's even older than me. You know, it's amazing how much parents sacrifice for their kids, whether their kids realize it or not. So I hope one day when my girls get older, like I want them to appreciate me now, my husband, I want them to appreciate us now, but I really hope that one day they look back and realize, you know, man, my parents did so much for us. They gave us a safe home. They kept us in church and taught us about God. You know, all this stuff, and took us all these places and gave us all these lessons and these experiences. I hope that they feel the same way when they're older that I do about my parents, because they did and do so much for me and my brother. Another thing that I've learned, and this is something I've learned in the last like 15 years or so, meal planning is really important. You know, when we first got married, I didn't meal plan. I went to the grocery with no list, no goals, like no thought in mind, no coupons. I just kind of went and looked around and grabbed whatever I wanted off the shelf, didn't read labels, didn't compare prices, and didn't do anything like that. I had no clue what we were going to make for dinner. I would just grab this and that. And at the end, I was like, well, what do I have? What can I make with this? And I probably spent way more than I would have to, because I didn't ever pay attention to what was on sale or what had a coupon or anything like that. And so now I have learned, and this is another funny story that I used to do. I used to see my dad bring home pretty much every week a 5-pound bag of potatoes. Just Idaho potatoes, you know, 5-pound bag, and my mom would make baked potatoes, or she would make like roasted potatoes, all different types of potatoes. So when I first got married, I would buy a 5-pound bag of potatoes, even though I had no clue what I was going to make with them. I didn't make anything with potatoes, really. And it was just the 3 of us at the time, which my youngest daughter was like tiny, and she really didn't even eat potatoes. But yet I bought a 5-pound bag of potatoes that I would almost always throw away at the end of the week because they went bad before I ever used them. So meal planning is really important. Pay attention to what's on sale. Pay attention to your schedule. Maybe you don't have time to even cook dinner on Tuesday. So maybe you have to eat out, or maybe you have to make something on Monday that will have leftovers for Tuesday. That all you have to do is warm up. It saves you so much money, and it saves you so much time to meal plan. And it was something I didn't do until like the last 5, 7, 8 years. Like I didn't do it, and I just wasted so much food and so much money, and still half the time had nothing to make because I would just grab this and that, but it really didn't make a meal. So meal planning is really, really important. Another mistake that I made, and something that I have learned from, is when my oldest daughter was young, I had prior to having her, I'd never changed a diaper. I had never babysat. I was always the youngest of all the cousins, so like I never had any younger cousins to take care of, so I knew nothing about taking care of a kid. But yet here I was with a baby, and I had no clue really what to do. If they didn't do what I wanted them to do, then I would like freak out and get overwhelmed and lose my temper and all of these things because I did not know what to do. And I have learned since then that the reason that I think I got so stressed out and so overwhelmed and overreacted so often back then was because I really didn't know what I was doing. And I let my inexperience and my lack of confidence in my parenting abilities really cause me to overreact and lose my temper in times that I didn't have to. You know, now I realize that I don't have to know everything because I don't know everything. And it's okay to admit that you need help. It's okay to admit you don't know what you're doing. And it's okay, and you need to realize that your child is not always going to do what you want them to do. That baby is not always going to take a nap at 2 o'clock, even though they've always taken a nap at 2 o'clock, and that's like your only time to clean. They may not always do that. They probably won't always do that, you know, and it's not a reason to freak out about, you know, what am I going to do? She won't take a nap, and I've got to, you know, that's always going to happen. Your kids are always going to constantly be in like this ebb and flow of like their schedules changing and their needs changing and everything going here and doing this, and that's always going to change. And even though sometimes I still get stressed out about it, I don't like flip out and get just like totally, you know, crazy about it. Look back on those times now and I think, why did I worry so much about certain things happening the way that I thought they should happen and when I thought they should happen? I should have just been a lot more easygoing and laid back and realized that sometimes you can't expect your child to do what you want them to do because they're not going to do it. And I shouldn't flip out about it if it doesn't happen. So just throwing that out there, that if you're in that stage of life, even now, even if your kids are older and you get really annoyed or overwhelmed or stressed out or you lose your temper when they don't always do what you want them to do or they cause a wrinkle in your plans, you know, you have to really kind of be able to roll with the punches. It's an everyday thing. You know, every day is different. Minute to minute can be different. And you kind of have to learn how to like bob and weave, you know, kind of take things as they come. Because, you know, all your intentions may just be thrown out the window with one thing that happens. So you kind of have to really be adaptable in that way. Another thing I've learned is that each kid is different and they don't need the same thing from me. You know, having two girls, they're 6 years apart. Well, technically 5 years, 11 months, and 1 week apart, but who's counting? But, you know, I just assumed when my youngest daughter came along, I was like, well, she's going to be like my oldest daughter. She's going to respond to the same type of discipline. She's going to want the same things from me. And they don't. Very, very different. And my oldest daughter is very, very strong and assertive, very independent. Even when she went to kindergarten, she was like, see ya. You know, I thought she would care and like cry because she'd never been to daycare. She'd never been to preschool. She'd never been away from me. And then all of a sudden we go to kindergarten and I thought, oh, well, she's just going to have a meltdown and be like, hold on to my leg. She just like, bye, and didn't look back. Like she very much was independent. My youngest daughter is my sensitive child. So she is a lot more sensitive. She responds differently to different types of discipline than my oldest daughter does. And so I really try to pray to be the mom that each girl needs me to be, because they need different things from me in all different aspects. And trying to teach one of your children and to raise one of your children like your other ones is really, really unwise and impossible to do, because they're each very, very different. Even people with twins will tell you that they're very different personalities. They need very different things. And you kind of have to figure out what they need and be able to give that to each child. And that's where praying really comes in handy, because sometimes I don't know. I don't understand sometimes what they need because they're not like me. And I think, well, how would I respond to this? And I realize it's not me that's responding to this thing, it's them. And I need to figure out what they need. And only I can really get knowledge about that from God. So another thing I've learned in my almost 39 years is stop trying to stay up too late to get stuff done. I used to stay up pretty much every single night from around 2 or 3 in the morning working on the house, paying bills, you know, all these different things that I had to do. I would try to wait until like as long as I could make it before I was just like going to keel over to get stuff done. And then I would go to bed and be exhausted the next day. And then I would have to take a nap or, you know, all this stuff. Like it was a very unhealthy pattern to be in. It made me very like overwhelmed and grumpy. And it was just a very unhealthy way to try to get things done because it never worked. I never got anything done anyway. But I was wearing myself out and then still not getting everything done. And it was a very vicious cycle that I was in. So a couple years ago, I was having some health problems. They said they were not caused by staying up too late, but they were definitely made worse by staying up too late. And so that was when I really had to be like, okay, you have got to get in bed at a decent time. If you want to get up earlier, then get up earlier to get some stuff done. Do not try to stay up so late to get stuff done, because you're never going to be done with whatever it is. There's always going to be more to do, and you're just going to wear yourself out and make yourself a very unhappy mother and person if you're staying up so late. The next thing I've learned is I can homeschool my kids. They will be smart, they will be happy, they will be socialized, and they will be normal. You know, when we first talked about homeschooling, like the very first time my husband and I talked about it, what came through my mind was like your typical stereotype, like of what you think of when you think of homeschoolers. You think of these people that like never see anybody, they don't know how to talk to people, they have no social skills, they're very like cowed and weird. Because growing up, that was the only homeschool kids that I knew. They were like that. And so you tend to think, at least I tended to think, and my husband had the same kind of impression, that homeschooling was weird and homeschool kids were weird, and they were some like extremely religious, like, not that we're not religious, but you know what I mean, like the crazy like culty type people. Like that is not what homeschooling is about at all. There are tons of homeschoolers that are very socialized, very normal, very successful, and I'm able to do it, even though I'm not a genius and all I have is an associate's degree. I don't have a bachelor's or a master's, I'm not a doctor, I'm not some kind of like rocket scientist, but I'm smart enough to homeschool my kids because whatever I lack in knowledge and education, I make up for in love and will and motivation to teach my kids at home. So if I don't know something, I'm going to find somebody who does. I'm going to find a book. I'm going to find some kind of resource somewhere. I'm going to find a program that will teach them, this because I can't, I'm going to make up for my inadequacies because I love them. And I feel like homeschooling is important. It is one of the top priorities in our house to be able to homeschool them. And I can do it, even though I'm not that smart. I mean, I'm smart enough, not stupid, but I'm just not like some kind of crazy over the top like brainchild. But I am smart enough to teach my kids. My kids do have friends. They are social. They can carry on a conversation. We are normal. And everything is working out okay. Even though homeschooling seems daunting and scary and strange and weird to so many people, it really, really isn't. And I think once you step into that world and you realize, first of all, it's a way bigger community than you may realize that it is. Like, there are a lot more homeschoolers than you may know that there are. There's support groups, there's co-ops, there's all these different opportunities and things that you can do that you can add to your homeschool life that really do make your children have a normal, happy life just like anybody else. I mean, homeschooling is not a punishment. It's not a weird thing to do. And whether you are a genius or not, you are more than likely qualified to teach your kids, because if you love them, you're going to find the right programs for them. You're going to make sure they're being challenged. You're going to make sure they're doing their work. You're going to make sure that they have got people to hang around their own age. You're going to do all these things because you love them, whether you are a genius or not. The next thing I've learned, and I've learned this, I knew it as a kid, but I guess I didn't realize it because I was on the kid end of things. I wasn't the parent. Now that I'm the parent, I really understand and value how important family vacations are and how much they are so totally worth the time, the money, and the effort to go on these family vacations. I have so many memories of my own family vacations growing up, and I have so many memories of just in the years, like my oldest is almost 15. Just in those 15 years with both girls, just in those 15 years with her, and then my youngest daughter being alive 9 years, like in those years, I have so many memories of our family vacations that I still think about, like to this day, every single day. Things that happened on vacation, how we always have like this funny kind of running joke that seems to be like every year we have a different kind of family joke that just kind of happens while we're on vacation, and like we say it all week long and giggling in bed at night because we're all so tired, we're like hysterical and everything's funny, and little moments like that we have that, yes, we have fun here at home, but they are way amplified on vacation. And kids grow up so fast. They're not going to be young forever. They're not going to be home forever. They're not going to be single forever. Eventually, even if you love your in-law, even if you love your son-in-law or your daughter-in-law, you're not going to have them with just them alone forever. They're going to get married and bring their husband and whatever, which is great. But I like this time now where they're both single, they're both at home, nobody's in college and having like to work or go to class. And we can really take this time off and go somewhere as a family. And you guys know where we go every year, Disney. Disney is a part of our family, it's a part of our life. And those vacations that we take, even though they are crazy expensive and they're very time consuming to plan, it's a lot of work to pack and get ready and whatever, it is worth every penny and every second to have those memories, and I think they're really important. Whether you're going to Disney or you're going on a cruise or you're going camping, whatever it is, family alone time with like no work, little to no cell phones would be preferable. Like, get away with your family and make those memories, because you're not going to have kids, young kids, in your home forever. And I just feel like it's really important that families get away and have that time together. Which, talking about Disney, leads me into the next thing that I learned, that Disney is just as fun for an adult as it is a kid. I feel like, and I hear people say, like, well, Disney's fun for kids, or Disney's fun if you're going with your kids. I loved Disney as a child, and I love Disney now as the parent, but I would love it even if my kids weren't there. Like, I do love it because they're there, and it is fun to go on these rides and stuff with them. But for me, Disney is just plain old fun. I don't think you have to be a kid or you have to have a kid to appreciate all the fun that there is to have at Disney. And yeah, maybe I see it differently now than I did when I was a kid, but I still love it just as much. It's always changing and there's always something to do. You can't possibly do everything in every single trip. So there's always things to do that maybe you didn't get to do the time before, or they're building something new. Like this year, they've got Star Wars Land opening in the fall. They've got a couple new rides opening over the summer. So it's always changing. And I never get tired of going, even as an adult. That's just me, but I think Disney is just as fun as an adult as it is when you're a kid. Okay, my next thing I have learned is expensive makeup is not always worth it. Actually, I have found it's rarely worth it, and it's rarely better than drugstore stuff. Now, there is some stuff that I haven't tried, like Charlotte Tilbury and Marc Jacobs, like these really high-end, super duper, you know, expensive makeup brands. I used to shop a lot at Sephora. I would get a lot of my stuff there, like Urban Decay and what else did I used to get? Too Faced and Smashbox and all that stuff. But really, I have learned over the years that most of the time that stuff is not any better than what the drugstore is putting out, especially now, because the drugstore has really upped their game in the last 5 or 6 years. Like, they have crazy gone, like, great with their quality, their pigmentation, their wearability, their shade ranges. Like, they are, like, through the roof, way better than they used to be. So I really don't feel like, in most cases, that you need to spend the money on expensive stuff. I mean, if you want to, sure, do it. But for the most part, what I use that's drugstore is just as good, if not better in some cases, than the expensive, like, snooty name brand stuff. So that's just something I've learned over the years of being a makeup hoarder and junkie, that most of the time the expensive stuff is not necessarily any better. Another thing is brand names will not make you happier. I always knew this, like that was never a problem that I had, but I have learned since having my YouTube channel by people that get on here and comment, especially around the girls' like Christmas time videos and the birthday gift videos, like what I get them for Christmas and their birthday. I get so many comments from these people. A lot of them are teenagers. I'm sure all of them are teenagers, and not every teenager feels this way. But of all the comments, they're always teenagers, and they're like, well, I got a Louis Vuitton purse and I'm 14, or I have the new Urban Decay, blah, blah, blah. You know, just ridiculous. I mean, it's so funny to go back and read the comments that they leave on the Christmas gift videos, because it's so stupid and bratty, and I hope one day they think back about that and think how dumb that was. If you're only happy when something's really expensive or a brand name, then you probably are setting yourself up for a life of disappointment, more than likely, unless you become like the next Jeff Bezos and you own Amazon, or you're going to be like some kind of genius, like graphic, like video game designer, and you design the next hit video game. Like, unless you are that successful, or you marry somebody with money, you probably are not going to be able to afford those expensive things, especially early on in life. So don't let brand names and how much something costs dictate whether or not you like it and whether or not you're proud of having it. The 13th, oh, can you believe we're only on number 13? I feel like I've been talking forever. But anyway, the 13th thing that I feel like is really important is to wear sunscreen every single day, no matter how old you are and no matter whether it's cloudy outside or not. You need to wear sunscreen every single day. There are so many sunscreens out there that they don't have to stink. They don't have to be greasy. They don't have to break you out. There are tons of really great sunscreens out there, and you really should be wearing sunscreen every single day. If for no other reason, then you don't want to have wrinkles, because I know a lot of people say, well, I want to get a tan, so I don't want to wear sunscreen. But if you ever think you may not want to look older than you are, then wear sunscreen. I mean, how many people do you see and their skin looks like leather? Now, granted, they may have been people that like laid out or went to tanning beds excessively or something, but sunscreen is really important, and it is the best preventative aging tool that you will find, because you are basically blocking your sun, you're blocking your skin from these damaging, aging sun rays every single day. It really does make a difference in how youthful you will look when you're older, and it's important too to prevent, you know, skin cancer and all that too. So definitely make sure you're wearing sunscreen every day, or at least have sunscreen in your foundation, maybe a body lotion with some sunscreen. You know, there's all different products out there that make it really easy to remember to put it on, but it is really, really important. Which leads me to my next thing that I know, and I've known this for a long time, but it's never too early to start taking care of your skin. And so along with the SPF, it's never too early to start an eye cream or a neck cream or a really good night moisturizer or something that is really good that's gonna speed up your cell turnover and give you fresh skin, every day. It's never too early. I mean, what's it gonna hurt if you're using an eye cream when you're in your 20s? You may not need it yet, but it's not gonna hurt anything, and it can only help you. And so I feel like you don't have to go crazy and pay tons of money for all these super expensive wrinkle creams if you don't have wrinkles, but you can definitely do things like a vitamin C eye cream that's going to be brightening, or a really good neck cream to moisturize and soften and tone your neck. All those things are going to help you to look younger longer. Even if you're in your 20s and you don't really have wrinkles yet, it's going to make a difference long run. So go ahead and start it now, and don't wait until you have wrinkles and then try to fix them. You know what they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So preventing wrinkles is way easier than trying to get rid of them. The next thing that I feel like I've always tried to do it, but especially now when you're a parent and you're busy and you're working and you're doing this and you're going here and you're getting this and going to the grocery and going to the bank, and you've got all this stuff going on, is to find joy and happiness in the little moments, because the little moments are what life is made of. If you're the type person that is only happy when something big and exciting is happening, then you're probably not going to be happy very often. And that's really sad, because life is really more little moments than it is big grandiose moments. You know what I mean? So not to say that you can't look forward to those big moments and those big events and things that are happening and that you get excited about. That's great, and we all have those. But try to find things every single day that you notice and that you appreciate and that make you happy, because that overall is what life is. It is a bunch of small moments that make you happy and that will make you a happier person overall. So little things, whatever it is, watching kids play in the park, opening the windows and hearing the birds singing out in the trees, those type of things that make you happy, those are the moments that you need to pay more attention to, because those are the things that are happening every day that you're letting pass you by that could be something that makes you happier, a happier person. The 16th thing that I have learned in my lifetime so far is the more I put God in my life, the more I see Him and I feel Him in my life, which, that makes sense. And I've always been a Christian, so I don't remember not having God in my life. We were always in church. I got saved and baptized fairly young. I always remember having God in my life and knowing He was real and believing in Him. But that was really it. I didn't make special time. And I would say my prayers, I guess as a kid. But I didn't really make dedicated time to learn more about God and how that relates to me. Learning more about Him really makes me learn more about myself and where I need to improve, and growing my faith, even though I believe in Him and I've always believed in Him, just growing my faith, growing my understanding of Him and what He wants for me to do and what He wants for my life. It's not good enough to be a convenient Christian. You only want God when you need Him, and that's it. You don't put Him in your daily life. You don't spend time getting to know Him. You don't spend time reading your Bible or doing devotionals or listening to podcasts about Him. You just call on Him when you want something, and then the rest of the time, He's just kind of out of sight, out of mind. And that is very easy to do. We get busy, and it can be very easy to just coast through life. And if you're not seeing God physically in front of you, which we don't, then you may forget that He still wants to talk to you. He still wants to hear from you. He still wants you to learn more about Him. And He wants to be there in all the time in your life, not just the bad times when you need Him, And that's so easy for us to do, is just kind of put Him out on the back burner because we know He's always going to be there. But that's not really the way that you should live your life. If you are a Christian, you should really live your life to constantly be getting to know Him better. Don't just use God as a convenience when you need Him. Working on your relationship with Him should be a lifelong journey that you're on. And making time for Him every single day is a great way to do that. Start your day out with 5, 10, 15 minutes of reading your Bible, reading a devotional, things like that. That is really important. And the more that I do that, the more I see God in my everyday life, the more I'm aware of blessings, the more I'm aware of answers to prayers, and the more that my relationships change because I am changing as a Christian. And so I feel like it's really important. And that leads me to my next thing, which is, I've talked about this before, I never put God in my relationships or very many of my choices, especially growing up, definitely not in my relationships. I feel like if I had put God in my dating relationships and made him the top priority of our relationship, I would have learned very early on either, number one, this person is not even worthy of dating, or number two, this is not a relationship that I need to stay in because this person is not a match for me in our beliefs, or, you know, the mistakes wouldn't have been made if God had been in our relationship. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, and that's why I tell my girls, and my oldest especially because she's dating age, you need to put God in your relationships because it's going to improve your relationship. If the person you're with, you're dating, is a Christian, it's only going to improve your relationship with God, and it will improve your relationship with each other. And I feel like it's going to weed out a lot of the people that maybe you shouldn't be with and you shouldn't marry ultimately, because you're going to find out by doing that this person may not be a good match for you. Number 18, you're not going to make everybody happy. It is something I've always known, but especially with YouTube, it shines a light on the fact that, you know, you do one thing and then people say, well, you didn't do this, so you do this, and well, you didn't do that. I mean, you can't make people happy. It's just crazy. And I don't change what I do to try to make them happy, but it just makes you realize that people are somebody's always going to be annoyed by something that you do. You didn't do it fast enough. You didn't do it well enough. Well, you should have known to do that before I even asked you. Or, you know, even if it's something dumb, like how you fold your clothes. Or if you guys are YouTubers, then people probably comment like, well, why did you do that when you cleaned your kitchen? Why do you let the water run instead of filling up the sink? Why do you fill up the sink instead of letting the water run while you do your dishes? You know, like, there's always differences. People are not going to always agree, and you're not going to make everybody happy. So all you need to worry about, making God happy and making yourself happy. Now, not when it comes to your family. Obviously, you have to make your family happy. But you know what I mean? Like, people that are like outside, external people, they're not going to be always happy with your decisions. But if you are doing what you know that God wants you to do, and you are doing what you know that you should do, then do not worry about what those people say or think that you should be doing. You just stay on your own path and don't worry about them. Which leads me to number 19, don't base your happiness on whether or not other people like you or approve of you. Nobody should have that much power over your life. And sometimes you wonder, why doesn't so-and-so like me? But don't be unhappy about the fact they don't like you, because there are going to be plenty of people who don't like you for no good reason. Maybe they don't like something that you said or did. Maybe they don't like your face. Like, there could be dumb reasons why they don't like you. And at the end of the day, you have to be like, you know what? I like me. I am confident in myself. I like the way that I am. And if so-and-so doesn't like me, then so be it. My next thing that I have learned is people can tell you all day long how they feel about you, but they will show you how they feel about you. So make sure you're paying attention. I learned this a lot with relationships before we got married. You know, a guy would be like, oh, I love you, blah, blah, blah. But then they only wanted to hang out with their friends. They never wanted to go out with me. Or, you know, they didn't make me a priority in their day. But I love you, you're my girlfriend, and yada, yada. But then they didn't act that way. And actions speak louder than words. Some of these dumb cliche sayings, or we hear them so often that we don't really pay attention to them, but that is so true. They will show you how they feel about you, no matter what they're telling you. So make sure your eyes are open and you're paying attention. The next thing is, it is okay to be alone romantically and any other way. You know, which kind of goes back to what I said about everybody else is not going to like you. There's going to be people that don't like you for whatever reason. And a lot of times that may mean that you are alone in certain situations. Maybe there's a time in your life where you don't have friends. Maybe you never really had any good friends. Maybe you still don't have friends. It's okay to be alone. And that really comes with confidence in yourself and being happy by yourself. And being in charge of your own life enough that you have enough things going on that you like doing and you're interested in, then you don't have to worry about whether or not other people like you or whether or not you're by yourself, because You're just happy with yourself. And even if you ever get friends or you get in a relationship, you aren't really ever happy with somebody else if you are not happy with yourself already. You know what I mean? So work on yourself and work on learning to be happy alone. And then if you get relationships, that's fine. But you know that you're okay whether you have a relationship or you have friends or not. The next thing that I have learned over the years is to be more aware of my blessings and to notice the little things. And this kind of goes back to what I said before. I notice more blessings when I am improving and working on my relationship with God. I'm very much more aware of little things and big things that are blessings, and even things sometimes that happen that are bad. I've had things that have happened in the past that, not the serious things, but like, minor bad things. Like nobody was hurt or anything. But I remember one thing in particular happening, and then the first thing I thought was, thank you, God, for showing me. And I was like, wow, that's like major maturity there. To really see that as a blessing, especially so early after a hurt happened to me, that I was pretty excited about that I was growing in my relationship with God and my maturity to be able to understand that in the long run, seeing this and having this happen was actually a blessing in disguise. The thing I have learned is it's okay to make mistakes and to not know the answers. You figure a lot of things out as time goes on. As you get older, you figure a lot of things out, and you figure a lot of things out from mistakes. The important thing is to not make mistakes and not learn from them. Because if you make mistakes and you don't learn from that mistake, then you're going to keep making the same mistake. So making mistakes is okay. It's important though to find the lesson and to stop whatever that behavior is from keep yourself from doing it again, because that's just a bad habit to fall into. But it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not have the answers. It's okay to ask for help. And it's definitely okay and something you should be doing to constantly be learning and trying to improve yourself, because when you stop learning from life and when you stop learning from your mistakes and you stop learning from experiences, or you just don't ever learn from those things, that is a very dangerous habit to be in. The next thing I've learned, and I learned this fairly early on because I am different. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, it's okay to be who you are. I'm a huge dork. I like 40s show tunes and swing music, and I like old classic movies, and I like to sing and dance and make up songs around the house, and I like to do stupid little jigs, and I'm a huge dork, and that's okay. And if people don't like me because I'm this way, or because I believe this certain thing, or I'm raising my kids a certain way, then I really do not care. And I also used to think that being a certain age meant you had to be a certain way. You couldn't be childlike anymore because you're 39 or 40 or 50 or however old you are. I mean, there's a difference between maturity and responsibility and just being boring. Like, you can still be mature and responsible, but be fun and lighthearted and easygoing. So just because I'm almost 39 years old, and maybe I'm supposed to be like Miss Maturity, I'm mature in the ways that matter. I understand the important things in life, and I can be counted on, and I can be relied on, and I'm responsible, and I'm, somebody's mom. I'm able to have all these responsibilities and do these things as an adult, but I still get to have fun and be lighthearted and enjoy things like a child when the time is appropriate for that. So you can definitely be both. You don't have to be boring and all serious just because you grow up and because you're older. Another thing I've learned in the last 39 years, and really in my 30s, I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. Not to say that things don't hurt me and that I am not affected by things, because I am, but God has tested me more in my 30s than He has ever tested me in my entire life. I had a miscarriage, I had health issues, and even though there were times when I was scared of God's plan for me, even though there was times when I didn't understand what God was doing and I felt like, why is He doing this to me? And even though there was a time when I was mad at Him, like mad. It was the only time I ever remember in my life being mad at God and not understanding why He was doing what He was doing and why He did what He did. Now that I'm on the other side of some of those things, and not to say that they don't still hurt, because some of them do, I'm closer to God. I found my way back to Him, and I feel like in spite of how mad I was, my relationship with Him is better than it was beforehand. Now, I don't know the reason why God does what He does to me, or to you, or to anybody else. I don't understand the hurt that's in the world. I don't understand why certain things are the way they are. But I know that God works everything together for our good, whether we understand it or not. And I think having these experiences has made me see that, and reminded me that God is still in control. He is doing these things for a reason. And it's not up to me to understand. And there's going to be things that we don't understand. But having that faith that God has a plan and a purpose behind everything, there is comfort in that. You just have to get to that point. And I know there's going to be other things that happen to me in my life. And I may not always feel this way about those things right off. Just like I didn't when I had my miscarriage. It took me a long time to get to a point where I wasn't mad anymore. I'm not happy about it. I know there's going to be other things that take me a while to get to this point of those situations, you know what I mean? But through all those experiences, none of that stuff killed me. Which in the beginning I felt bad about. I felt like when I had my miscarriage, I felt like this should kill me. I am ashamed that life has to go on. I still have to pay bills. I still have to go to the grocery. All these dumb, mundane things that I had to do that were part of everyday life. It was insulting to still have to do those things and carry on with life when this horrible thing had happened. And so I feel like I'm stronger because of those things. I'm closer to God because of those things, which seems ironic because you'd think, well, I'm mad now and I'm going to be mad forever. But I just think it's been a lot of different tests that he has put me through, and I feel like that I passed them because I feel like my relationship with him is better than it was before, and that I'm closer to him than I was before, and then I have another level of understanding, but not to say I understand it all because I don't. But I feel like I have a better idea, a better level of understanding than I did before. So that's another thing that I've learned in my 30s in particular that has been really important. Which kind of leads me to the next thing, which is praying for God's will and not mine. When I was a teenager, I remember praying, well, if you just let so-and-so ask me to be their girlfriend, then, we'll be so happy and blah, 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 And instead of praying for that specific person, then I should have prayed for who God wanted me to have. Because you spend a lot of time praying for things that may or may not be what's best for you or what God has planned for you. And it's a waste of time, honestly. Yeah, we all have things we want, and I think God is okay with that, and he expects that. But you have to kind of tamper that in with, this is what I want. If it's your will, please let it happen or whatever. But ultimately, it's God's will I should be praying for and not mine. And that's a really hard thing for us to do because we as humans want to think we have control over our own life. And we want things to happen based on our level of understanding of the world around us. But God has the bigger picture in mind. He knows what's going to happen later on down the road. He knows what's going to happen tomorrow or the next second. And so praying for what we want without asking for God's will is kind of a stupid, useless thing to do because we don't understand where our life is supposed to be and what we're supposed to be doing. God understands that. Only God understands that. So you can ask for what you want, but at the end, you still have to, say, but if it's not your will, then please, let your will happen in this situation or whatever. Does that make sense? So that's something I learned, and it's a very hard thing to do, and I'm still working on it. But I think it's something I have understood. I've learned to understand over the years that I need to change the way that I pray. Okay, we're nearing the end, I swear. But my nose, every day I film, I usually batch film. So I film a bunch of videos at once. And my nose, by the time I get done, my throat and behind my nose is so dry. And I forgot my water downstairs. So I'm just like I can feel my nose about to fall off. But anyway, we're almost done with this, I promise. Hopefully it's helpful so far. The next thing is to save money. Our savings has saved us, no pun intended, so many times. My husband is in a commission-only job. And then what money I do make on YouTube, it fluctuates. It's never the same. And so, but even before I had any money with YouTube, like his job for the last 14 years has been commission-only. Times are very like this. And there have been many times when he made very little. There's been times when he made a lot, but saving is very important. The Bible even tells us to save our money before we spend it. So it is a really important thing to do, whether you're trying to save a certain amount or you're trying to save for a new house, but you should always try to have money set aside for things that you don't have planned, like your car breaks down or your basement floods or you have a really expensive medical bill. Things like that, you really need to have that savings for. So make sure, it is really hard to do, but make sure when you get paid that, you know, you're supposed to tithe first, and then after that, you're supposed to save, and then you spend the rest. And that is what is so hard for everybody, me and everybody, I think in America especially, to not spend more than you make and to make sure that you're saving, because that is really, really important. Okay, we have 2 more in the regular category, I think, and then, no, we have 3 more and then 1 bonus one. So the next thing is to exercise to be healthy, not just to look good. Movement is a blessing, and even if you are not the body that you want to, even if you don't have the body that you want, being able to move is a huge blessing. And we're reminded of this if you sprain your ankle and you think, man, I wish it was just easy to go downstairs and get a snack or a water. Or you hurt your knee and you realize you have to go up 3 flights of stairs and you're like, oh man, my knee hurts. And you're aware of that pain every single second. It's kind of the same way, you know, with exercise. I am not the body that I want to be. Yes, I lost 35 pounds a couple years ago. It's been like, what, 6 years ago now? 5, 6 years. I lost 35 pounds. I've kept it all off, I think, for the most part. I don't weigh myself anymore, but my pants still fit, so I can't be too much more. And I have improved a lot with my strength and my fitness level, but I'm still not the body that I want to be. But that's okay. At the end of the day, I try to remind myself that I'm healthy. I can move. I can walk. I can do things in my everyday life, functional things that I need to do. I can do those things, and I can be fit without being skinny. You know, you can be in shape but not be skinny, or maybe not what you're going to see in a magazine, and that's okay. And that is, I think, for women, one of the hardest things to wrap our brain around, because we do so much want to be what we think the ideal body should be, and we may never have that. And so it is a daily struggle for me and for so many people to think about, if I'm able to move and I can walk to and from this place, and I can pick up my kids, and I can clean my house, I can drag this 25-pound vacuum up and down the stairs, you know, whatever the situation is, those are all blessings that we should be thankful for. And if we are healthy enough to exercise, even if we're not the body shape that we want to be, being able to exercise and being healthy enough to exercise is a blessing. So I'm always trying to remind myself that, yes, I still have saddlebags. Yes, I still have really wide hips. And yes, I still have the post C-section pouch. What is this dog hair on my face? I still have my C-section pouch on my stomach that is never went away and has never gone away. Even when I lost 35 pounds, it's still there. It's probably not ever going to go away, but I try to focus on the other things that have improved my fitness level, my endurance, and all that stuff. I really, really try to focus on that, and I encourage you guys to do it too. Which leads me to my next thing is, I can lose weight, and I don't have to accept my weight and my fitness level for the way that it is just because I'm a busy mom. I still have the control to lose weight. I do have the willpower to lose weight and not eat as much stuff that is not good for me. And I do have the willpower to put exercise in my daily life 5 to 6 days a week. You have the willpower and the motivation to make myself and my health a priority. Just because you may be a busy mom does not mean that you have to just be like, well, I'm a mom now and this is what I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to only take care of my kids and not make time to exercise or go to the gym or go for a run, and not make time to eat healthy meals and just grab what I can on the go because we're busy and I'm taking the kids here and there. You don't have to settle for that, because you are important too. And honestly, it's going to help benefit your kids too, because you're going to be happier, you're going to be healthier, you're going to be more motivated, you're going to have more endurance and be able to play with them, and you're setting a good example for them. Though you are actually doing something for your kids, even though it's really for you, it definitely has trickle-down benefits to your kids. Okay, I've got 2 more. I think I've lost count. I may have more than 32. I don't know. I lost count. Maybe I have 31. I don't know. Whatever it is. The next thing is, you're never too old to straighten your teeth. This is something that I learned, I thought of the other day, because I had braces as a teenager, and at the time, it was like 1993-ish, and if they had clear retainers, nobody knew about them. Nobody had them. They all had like the wire ones. And I had just gotten my braces off, and I was going to be going into high school, and they said, well, now you got to wear your wire retainer every day, all day for like 6 months. And I was like, I'm not wearing my retainer to school, and so gradually over time, my bottom teeth especially got crooked again. And I didn't get them fixed until I was about 28. I got braces, and not even like the Invisalign where you can't see them. I had full-on metal braces. And I feel like people tend to think, well, I'm older, I'm a parent now, so I don't really need to worry about my own teeth or my own whatever. I just need to take care of my kids. And you do, you know, it is important to take care of your kids, obviously. They should be your top priority. But that doesn't mean that you're not a priority as well. You're never too old to get your teeth fixed. So whether it is getting a retainer, getting braces, getting Invisalign, whatever it is that you do, if you can afford it and make payments, or, you know, if it's maybe somehow you've got some amazing dental plan insurance and they for some reason accept, you know, will pay for adult braces, which most of the time they don't, but maybe you have one that does. You know, it's not too old to get braces. It's okay. You may be embarrassed that you have braces, but you're going to be better and happier at the end to have straight teeth and have a smile that you're proud of. No matter whether you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever it is, it's never too late to do something for you that makes you happier and more confident. And the last thing, and this is something that I try to work on, and it's an ongoing battle because everybody wants to be on their phones, or watching TV or whatever it is. But I think it is so important to turn off the TV, put down the phone, and talk. You know, I have talked about what is this? I have talked about phones in particular for a while, how much I hate them. I love having a phone, a smartphone. I love having a cell phone. It's convenient. It makes me feel safer when I'm out with the girls, that I can call somebody if I need help. I can use my map and it can tell me where to go. I can find a coupon and save money. Like, I love my phone. But I cannot stand the fact that everybody is like a zombie on their phones. All they want to do is be on their phones. How many times do you go out to eat somewhere and everybody at the table is on their phones? Whether it's a family or you'll see dates and like a couple out on a date and both of them are on their phone, or a parent with a kid and the parent is on their phone and the kid's just like sitting around like looking bored. It really truly is an epidemic that people are always on their phones. They always feel like they need to be on their phones. Who can I call? What can I look at? You know, I just can't stand it. And the times that I make a conscious effort to say, you know, let's just put the phones away, turn the TV off if we're at home, and let's just talk. We have some of the most fun conversations when there's no TV on, nobody's got their phones, there's no distractions, and we just talk about whatever. And I mean, I think whenever we have those moments, I think how we would have missed this if we were watching TV, or if somebody was on their phone. They wouldn't have, you know, been paying attention to say this funny thing or whatever it was. So, and I'm really telling the adults too, just as much as kids, because I see adults just as much, if not more, on their phones than I do teenagers and kids. So phones are great, technology's great, it's a good thing to have, and they're convenient and all that, but don't let your phone be part of your family. It should not be part of your family. It is a thing that you should use to serve you when you need certain information at certain times. It should not be something that you're a slave to, and that's what I feel like most people are. So turn off the phone, turn off the TV, have conversations with your family and your friends and your date or whoever it is, because that's what's going to matter at the end of the day. Your phone is not going to be something that matters to you. You know, when you're on your last day and your last breath, and you're not going to think, I wish I had spent more time on my phone. I wish I had spent that extra hour watching TV. You're going to think about your friendships and your relationships and your family that you want to spend more time with, not spending all that time on a phone. So, and I mean, it is hard sometimes. I do it sometimes too. I don't feel like I'm very bad, and I definitely don't feel like I'm as bad as most people, because the girls are always with me. So I try really hard to be present when they're there. But just keep that in mind, that it is a very addictive thing to be on it, to want to be on it, to want to see what other people are doing, to want to hear what other people think of you and what you just posted, you know. And it's hard for me too, because my job is social media. I'm on YouTube, you know, I'm on Instagram, I do different things, and it's important to me, and it's part of my job, and I do enjoy it, but I try to make sure that it's not taking over the relationships that are here and now, you know, the people that are in my life right now. So throwing that out there that I have learned that, realized that, noticed that, observed that, and I really want to kind of throw that out there because I feel like it is really a problem, that it is hurting people's relationships, and I don't want it to be that way. So I hope that you guys enjoyed hearing my 31, 32, whatever, however many it is, my things that I have learned in my last 38, almost 39 years of life. I feel like there's a nice mixture of things that kind of don't matter as much, but then there are some things that really, really matter and are really, really important that I have learned, a lot of which I think you guys can apply to your own lives, and I really hope it was helpful. So let me know in the comments. Let's talk in the comments and kind of keep this going about things that you have learned. Either it's something that I have said that struck a chord with you, or something that I said that you never thought of, but you were like, wow, that's really something I can apply to my life. Or if it's something that you have learned in your life the hard way, you've learned from experience, or a mistake that you made, or something that's happened to you, let me know in the comments. I really want us to be able to talk to each other. I try to answer everybody. Sometimes I get behind and I don't get to answer every single person, but I do my best. I read them all, and I answer as many as I can. So I really would like to talk to you guys and hear from you guys in the comments if you like this video and if you have something to share. So I'm sorry it's really, really long. If you're still here, if I had a prize and an award to give you, I would give it to you, because I know this has got to be a long video, and I'm sorry, but I really hope it's helpful. And if you liked it, then definitely give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. I make videos every single week, usually 2 to 3 a week. So make sure you're subscribed and you hit that notification bell so you'll be notified every single time I upload a new video. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of this video. If you want to see 2 of my older videos, you can click the links right here. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, if you haven't already, and you definitely should, you can click right here. I upload every single week. I have some links in the description box for some of my favorite stores and products, as well as my P.O. Box address. Check out those links if you're interested in those, and I will see you guys in the next video.